Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Effective Living. This is one of those platforms that are centered around the idea of helping you figure out how to grab a hold of the principles necessary for winning in life. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and every day, Monday to Friday, I'm here joined with some of the best people from around the planet, simply trying to bring about information that can help you to elevate what is it that you're doing in the earth. The truth of the matter is, all of us should be aiming to live life effectively. I'm joined with a distinguished gentleman out of the Bahamas. You all know I'm from the Bahamas. I love the Bahamas. As a matter of fact, haven't been home in a while. But listen, I was talking to him just now, and I told him I need to get back on what we would say, the sun on the beaches, just and walk through the coils and just, man, it's so nice in the Bahamas. But joining us today, listen, man, Mr. Collie, how are you doing, sir?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Kasey Collie, this gentleman is the protocol guy, and you've been doing such a phenomenal job, Kasey, man. Listen, tell our viewing audience a little bit about you, because we're going to dive into an interesting talk this evening.
Coach Ricardo, just before I get into that, allow me to thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I can say that in everything that Coach Ricardo has done, he has included Kasey. I don't know why, but I am eternally grateful. He sees he sees in Kasey what Kasey doesn't even see in himself, and so for that, sir, I am eternally grateful.
You're
And
welcome,
so
my
to
friend.
Kasey, Kasey is a 26-year-old young man who is passionate about country, family, and God. Understanding that without God, family, and country, he is impossible. I am a protocol guy. Everything about me is protocol. I find myself even in my downtime operating as the protocol guy, and so I am elated to be here this evening and looking forward to the conversation.
Man, you are truly the protocol guy. I can remember we were at a convention in Jacksonville, Florida, and you were doing
Hmm.
what you do best. You were operating as the protocol guy. And I said, man, there goes a distinguished young man, passionate and very alive. I like that, because the truth is, when I talk about the concept of living life effectively, it is finding your lane and learning how to operate at your best in the place where you belong. When was it that you figured out, man, I think I got something? When was it that you figured out you had an extreme interest in protocol?
Coach Ricardo, it would have been in 2015. I would have just joined what is, in my opinion, the greatest church on this side of heaven, and
Yes,
that
yes,
is the Mount Tabor Church. All right, I would have
yes, yes,
joined
yes.
Mount Tabor Church, and the pastor then of the Ministry of Health, Pastor Dory Walker, came to me and
Yep.
said, "Kasey, I want you to work in this area called protocol." And I said, "I don't know what protocol is." She said, "Don't worry about it. I feel like you can do it." It would have been the same year that Bishop Ellis would have made his departure, his departure from Full Gospel, and so we would have been preparing for the inauguration of Global United.
Yep.
It was at that moment I knew, looking at the different facets of protocol, I said, "Whoo, this is not for me at all." And I actually wanted to give up on it. And in having a conversation with a friend of mine who was also in protocol, he encouraged me to say, he said, "Kasey, no, don't give up." Can I tell you, within the first year of operating in protocol, I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? However, that was not when I actually went into the business of the protocol guy. I operated as the protocol guy long before it was coined the protocol guy.
Right.
Persons around the country would contact me asking to come and assist at events, to train, to teach, to talk about what protocol is and the importance of operating in excellence. And I
Yep.
would just come and do it, never at a charge, never
Yep.
to say, for gain, but because it's something that I love doing. And I always love to see excellence being executed.
Yep.
Well, a friend of mine sat me down and said, "Listen, people are going to always use you until they until you make the point to charge them. Until you charge them, they will
Yeah.
always call you.
Yeah.
Because what you have is a gift. You have a gift and you do it well.
Yeah.
I said, well, January 7th, 2017, I sat on my porch and I said, something has to come out of this. And me and my dad wrestled with it, trying to figure out something. He gave me this long name of some elegant, fabulous something. And I said, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
I said, when people think about me, I want them to think of the protocol guy.
Yeah.
Without knowing my name, you're
Yeah.
going to say the protocol guy, the guy who does protocol. And so that is where the protocol guy actually came from.
I like it, man. I like it. Now, I've once again watched this young man perform and do what he does on not only a national level but international level. Let's dive into the term protocol guy or protocol. There are
Hmm.
some people who it's a little bit above their understanding. It's sometimes when you think
Hmm.
protocol, you just think upper echelon. You just think next
Hmm.
level people. But when you think of the term protocol, explain what the description of that term originate from.
So protocol is the link between diplomatic affairs between two countries, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It refers to the elegance. It refers to the etiquette. It refers to the way someone is handled. For instance, you have to know that if you are greeting someone from America, the way that they are used to being greeted is totally different from someone in South Africa. You have to know these because you can really greet someone and be offensive by just a greeting. Okay, and so
yeah,
you if you ever endeavor to hold a position of some great importance from a country or even an organization, you should know at least something about protocol because you can really be disrespected or you can show disrespect to someone without knowing what it is that you're actually doing. And so protocol is extremely important in your not only your everyday life, but
yeah.
ensuring that when you execute it, you are know exactly what is it you're doing.
I like it. Now, Casey, when it comes to protocol, there are
Hmm.
some people who, at one point, it may have been a popular term. They've heard it more frequently when they initially was probably in some professional position, and they would have said, "Oh man, I hadn't heard the term protocol since the '80s or the
Hmm.
'90s." It was,
Hmm.
and it was simply because of their position. They was able to hear more of that term. The term protocol and protocol officers and the term protocol in the workplace, is it still prevalent, or is it one of those things that is simply being set aside for a smaller group of society, or is it that just a lot of people may not have heard of it because they have not become accustomed to those type of environments that demands a protocol officer?
I think a lot of persons kind of downplay the role of a protocol officer now, or even protocol. Let's not even look at a protocol officer. A
Yeah,
lot of people downgrade or downplay
yeah,
protocol really because a lot of people don't like order, right?
yeah, yeah.
People a lot of times you find yourself, I don't want to be told what to do.
Right,
Okay? I
right.
don't want to be told how to sit, where to go, how to
Yeah,
do it. I don't want that. I want to be able to do my own thing.
yeah,
Right now, given the COVID restrictions, a lot of things are referred to as COVID protocols,
yeah.
right? And protocol is simply the way that something is done, the proper way
Yeah,
for
yeah,
something to be done. Quite simple. All right. And so again, if I don't like order, Coach Ricardo, I'm not going to really like protocol at all.
yeah, yeah. That hey man, listen, let me tell you something. You brought it home
Yeah.
right there, man. You brought it home. It makes so much sense.
Hmm.
But so environments that have a tendency of appreciating order have a tendency of appreciating protocol. Is that what you're saying?
You got it. You got it. Got it. Most certainly.
Now let's talk about those who want the order but have not been accustomed to meeting someone who demands that level of order, like yourself. In other words, there are people, Kasey, who have acquired the skill to meet at a certain level on exposure factor that shows them, give them the opportunity to show up in a room. They can now be in a space, but they don't understand. Listen, somebody is bringing order to this space to make sure that everybody is able to function like they're supposed to. This person is going to sit here. This person is going to arrive at this time. This person is going to leave at this particular time. This person is going to go through that door. Talk to us just for a few minutes for someone who see a bright future but don't understand that bright future demands some order, but they don't have an appreciation for order yet. What would you say to them?
It's very important to understand that if with the lifestyle that we lead, right? Understanding that the God that we serve, he's a God of decency and order. Simply put, he's a God of protocol, right? And so if think about it, think about it, Coach Miller. You show up to an event, and at this event, you have the Governor General, the Prime Minister, members of cabinet or even the Senate, and then you have pastors, and then you have just ordinary members of society. Without protocol being present there, you are cooking up a disaster for up a meal for disaster. If you understand.
Yeah.
Now, with protocol being present, you don't have anything to worry about really, because the protocol and or the protocol officer then understands that, hey, I am responsible for keeping order within this event. You have the leader of or the highest ranking person in your country, they are present. You have the leader of the nation, the executive branch, and then you have the clergy. Now we know that clergy prefers to be to the front. It doesn't matter what's happening; they want to go to the front, right? I don't know, but they want to go to the front, and so you have to be the person to say, "Hey, at this time it's not possible, but I have something that I can do. I have a seat that I can place you. I have, and you set these things in order without making a distraction. Okay, so in trying to make these things, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I like it. What you going? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So in trying to set these things in order, you are really working for the flow of your event. All right. And you're even making for a better evening. Imagine the host, let's say you are the host. You don't have to worry about all of these things simply because you have protocol in place. Okay. Now, a protocol officer should know every aspect of the event or whatever is happening. They should never get to a place where they are not aware. Okay. If something is not planned, you must always have a plan B at all times. If there is no plan A, you gotta have a plan B. It's just that simple. And we know that there is always a plan A. And so a protocol, the role of protocol, even in our daily lives, is extremely important. It is extremely important. You can imagine living a life and you don't have any structure to it. Living a life and you don't know where anything is going. You don't know how anything is going to happen. You don't know how anything is going to work. You're literally living a life that is leading to destruction.
I'm a strong believer, Kasey, that for those who are watching us, that the concept of effective living demands that you bring some order to your life. So the role of a person who's been called to bring order, that of a protocol specialist, I think it's critically important that you learn to connect with them. My question to you is, over the years, it's clear that you've been really good at what you're doing, but in addition, you've met some incredible people. How important is that Rolodex for a protocol specialist? Because I mean, you end up finding you find yourself among the who's who, and you could call a name and make something happen. I mean, how important is that for someone who's been called to be a protocol specialist?
The worst thing you want to have, Coach Miller, is to show up at a function, an event, or even a meeting, and you don't know anyone. you don't know anyone. We have this saying that you must know who I am. You must know who I am, or you
Yep.
don't know me. If you are a protocol officer,
Yep.
you will be known. All right.
Yep.
It is important that for me, I've met people from South Africa, from Sri Lanka. I've met people from Trinidad and Tobago, all across America, all across the Caribbean, simply because of my role as a protocol officer.
Yep.
I can speak to a lot of persons simply because I would have met them. I know their culture. I know what it is that they are used to, and so as a protocol officer, if you don't know anyone, you're actually setting up yourself once again for failure.
Hey, I have a story for you all, ladies and gentlemen. I have a story. I don't know if you remember this, Mr. Kasey
Uh-huh.
Collie on the Effective Living platform. And I remember showing up at an event, and it was totally, we would call sold out, no more seats. And me and
Mhm.
my crew, my delegates, came to the entrance, and somebody at the door say, "Hey, nobody else can come in. There's no more seats." And we politely decided we were going to walk on the side. And I saw somebody put their hands up. Oh, there's a boss in the room who made something happen, and we were on the second row, man. We were on the second row, and we had some nice seats. That was not only there in the Bahamas, but overseas as well. I can remember on more than one occasion. That I mean, that was good, but not only was it good, and it made me feel great to know that I knew someone who was
Mhm.
looking out for me, but you had to know the different people that was
Mhm.
coming in and memorize who's
Mhm.
who to basically, for lack of a better term, qualify them to be in certain areas. So you would have known maybe they
Mhm.
weren't on the list to
Mhm.
be here, but you know who they are and you know where they're supposed to preside. So we're gonna have to move some things around. Talk to us about that whole process.
Mhm. So, Coach Ricardo, let me share this one story with you. In my role as a protocol officer, like you would have mentioned, you have to know people, right? I got to the place where I started to memorize persons in government, both
Yep.
past and present,
Yep.
leaders of civic organizations, both past and present,
Yep.
church leaders, past and present. I would have been at an event, not working, no ties to the event. I just showed up to simply attend. And the former Attorney General of the Bahamas attended the same event. Now, the Attorney General stepped in, sat at the back very quietly, did not ask for any special treatment, didn't made no kind of alarm that she was present. But because of the protocol in me,
Yep.
I could not allow her to sit down. I
Yep.
worked through the crowd to figure out who was the person in charge, and it landed me to the person that was actually in charge. And I said, "Listen, you have the former Attorney General of the Bahamas in your audience." They looked at me like, "What is that supposed to mean?" I said, "Tell you
Yep.
what, give me a seat. I'm going to get them and bring them to the seat." They said, "We don't have a seat that's available." I said, "Well, okay, no problem." And, being the protocol guy that I am, I searched through the first three rows of the event, and they had more than enough seats. Well, I didn't even go back to them. I went, I got her, and I took her to her seat simply because you have to give honor to whom honor is due.
That's so good.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes we look at people and say, uh it's just them. They're not in government anymore. They're not this. They're not that. They held a particular office.
Yep.
Okay. And because they held a particular office, you still give them that respect. Let's look at the president of the United States of America. He is no longer the president, but for up to 10 years, he still received certain perks as being the former president.
Yep.
After that 10-year period, things began to change, but he's still referred to as Mr. President. He still receives certain perks. Why? Because a long time ago, protocol was understood. Honor was understood. And one thing that I believe we do lack, not only in the Bahamas, but worldwide, is honor. we do not honor those that have gone before. We do not pay homage to those who've gone before. No, when we do, we do it, but we do it when they cannot hear. At that point, it really doesn't matter. You have to get to the point where you give honor right at that moment or when it's possible.
I like it. Thank you for sharing that story, man. I'm familiar with a number of occasions like that because, I'm a man in authority, and oftentimes I'm a man under authority, and I know how to show up in a space to serve and to identify certain things that needs to be done. And so I served in ministry for a long time, understanding the role of a protocol officer, minister, or specialist. I have not given the attention to the study of a protocol specialist as you have over the years, but as you mentioned, from the parking experience, or from the arrival to the escort to the seat, or providing these special accommodation, some people think that's a little bit much. While everybody wants favor, most people don't understand favor is attached to honor, as you mentioned. If you want favor, you want to increase your honor. And the more you honor
Agreed.
someone, the more they favor you. So today, you're honoring the judge who shows up at a school event, but this is a judge, a sitting judge, who shows up at a school where they're not a judge, but because you know who they are, you choose to step
Right.
up to plate and provide them with an exceptional service, only to find yourself sitting in a courtroom, a year or two later, and they say, "Isn't that the gentleman who assisted me at my grandson's graduation?" Come on,
Look at that.
come on, help our viewing audience out, Mr. Collie, because there are some people who think only in the immediate, not realizing a favorable behavior shown in an honorable way today attracts favor to you tomorrow. Talk to us about the need to just continue to push that on concept.
Coach Miller, let me use this illustration for you. A few years ago, I assisted a friend of mine with a wedding. Okay, I was the chief of protocol for his wedding, and because at that time he was a government official, uh, he had a whole lot of government officials there, including the former prime minister. I set my team up to assist with everything, and I took full ownership of the former prime minister. Okay, I ensured that everything from his arrival to his departure at the wedding, and then his arrival and departure at the reception was all taken care of. A few days later, the former prime minister showed up at an event that I was at. Not we were both attending the event. Where I sat was much different from, of course, where he was sitting. And he came in, and he's walking in with his aide, and he looked at me and he said, "You were at dot wedding." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Man, I talked about you the other day." He said, "Come with me." I'm now going from the back. I'm now going from the back to the front. Not only that, I'm being invited to the after reception for this event. I didn't even know the event had a reception.
Right. Yeah.
At this event, he asked one question: "What can I do for you?" Simply because of the way I served, it opened the door for greater. Okay. Now, of course, some of the things that when asked, it didn't happen, but it took me before great men. And it goes back to the scripture that says, "Your gift will make room for you and take you before great men." Right? And so it is important that when you are serving, you don't serve just because this is something to do. Okay? Because sometimes we can do it just because I've just been asked to do it, and so I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it as good as I could. I'm just going to do it because I was asked. And then there are some who do it, and they do it to the best of their ability. That is the difference in serving. Major difference.
Wow.
And it creates the impression that you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're joined with Kasey Collie out of the Bahamas, the protocol guy. A few years back, he tapped into something that he has decided to give his life to, and is providing a national service, not only national but international service, to a number of individuals, companies, government officials, and ministries around the world. Kasey, you have been involved in ministry as well. And I know you understand from a mega church standpoint that there is a different type of protocol procedure that oftentimes kick in when it comes to dealing with ministry at another level. Talk to us about some of the things that you've become accustomed to because it was necessary, but it may have not been as familiar in a smaller ministry, but it's definitely prevalent and extremely necessary at a protocol level in ministry.
So one of the very important things that I've learned, that I came to learn very quickly, is systems. You in a smaller church, listen, the pastor is my uncle, you know, everything, the family deal with everything. So I don't have to worry about that. But in a mega church, oh my goodness, you're dealing with thousands of people on any given Sunday. Not only on a Sunday, any event that the church is hosting, you're dealing with thousands of people. And so you have to, for me, it was I had to quickly understand and integrate myself in the system of protocol, understanding what is pastoral care. I don't know what pastoral care is, but without a question, I had to jump in and know what it's about. I never knew what VIP service was about in church. Never knew what it's about, because the only people coming to preach is me, my uncle, and my uncle if it's a good Sunday. And so it was never understanding all of the things. And so for me, the one thing that I had to learn quickly was systems, learn and appreciate it.
Wow. Kasey, I can remember going to a resort in Orlando, and as we pulled up, and it was a convention, and lots and lots of cars coming in, and town cars and limos and everything. And I decided that I was going to catch a cab because I did not find out early on how I was supposed to get to the venue. So I called a cab, only to discover when I got to the front desk, the lady said, Ricardo Miller. I said, yes. She said, we sent a car for you. I said, well, I saw that name said Miller. I didn't ask which Miller, right, Kasey? But I called a cab. So at this point, they took me off the line and was taking me to this other section. I had no clue that there was this special section to check in with a waiting area that had a number of amenities that was not a regular frontline experience. Talk to us about some
Right.
of the more, preferred way at another level that one could experience if you would continue to just elevate and grow in whatever profession you're in.
So let's talk about one of my greatest joys, traveling on behalf of, let's say, the government.
Yep.
So it begins with protocol contacting you, confirming your transfer, your departure time, and all of this. They check you in. Okay, you get to the airport. This is Coach Miller. This blew my mind. I might as well tell you. After this, I was on top of the world. I was, chief traveler. You couldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
So you get to the airport. And protocol greets you. They take you upstairs. So you've already been checked in. So they take you up. They walk you right to the plane. Bam, you're on the plane even before anyone else gets on. So you're sitting there and you're watching everyone strolling slowly and all of that. And then they come to you and they give you this itinerary with your travels. That in itself is,
Yeah.
top notch. So you get that, and then, and then you take off. Of course, you land. Once you get there, someone is there to greet you. They take you to your bags. You're only verifying your bags. You're not even touching them. They take them, put them in your vehicle, take you in the car, and you're on your way to the hotel. Get to the hotel. The hotel is excited that you're there. They understand the reason for your visit. Check you in. Get to your room. But every step of your experience is on a different level.
Yep.
What I get, what I got to understand from that is that when you go higher, there are some things that even becomes clearer for you.
Yep.
You know, there are some things that you don't tolerate, you don't even get to know about. I would not have known that there was someone who was traveling on the plane with me. I would have known that because that's not my headache, not at that point. I'm, you know, I'm muck muck.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so there are some things that change simply because of where you go or what is it you're doing. And so there's a life, Coach Miller, that is out there that is waiting to be untapped, but you have to apply yourself. You have to want more. You have to really go out there and get it. No one is going to come to you and give it to you. You have to go out and get it.
Oh man, there is another level. That's for sure. There is another level. I've been
Mhm.
blown away on so many occasions. Kasey, you have experienced so much at your age. My oldest godchild is 1 year older than you. And so I was standing
Wow.
godfather. I was standing godfather for one of my friends who were in high school. And today I'm here
Uh-huh.
interviewing you. I've watched you over the years, continue to pursue your passion as the protocol guy. I mean, you're a young guy. At the end of the day, there are a lot of young people who have not tapped into their purpose at this particular early age. And unfortunately,
Hmm.
it is because they have not tapped into it, they have not found themselves exposed and engaged in life and experiencing what you have experienced so far. Talk to the young people out there. We're talking to millennials. We're talking about those who have something to offer, but for some reason they're waiting until they're in their 40s or 50 before they think it can be distinguished when you're operating at a very distinguished level right now. So talk to those millennials out there that's postponing greatness.
There is, I believe this, Coach Miller. There is something on the inside of you that the world is waiting to uncover. The longer you take to uncover it, the longer it is that the world is deprived. Okay? You have on the inside of you, when God created you, He placed a gift on the inside of you. He never asked you, your thoughts. He never asked you your feelings. He placed it on the inside of you and then birthed you into earth and gave you the opportunity to go ahead with it. Okay? Now, we allow, because we look at the social media of today and say, oh, I'm never going to be on that level. I'm never going to make it where they are. I'm never going to succeed in what it is that I'm doing. And guess what? You are right. You know why you'll never succeed? And this is what I had to realize, because you don't want to get out there and make it happen. The moment you step away from fear and you begin to walk, you begin to realize that, hey, this is a little easier than I thought. This is a little easier than people made it seem. But because you allow fear to paralyze you, because you allow fear to cripple you, you don't get to really enjoy the joys of
Yeah.
your purpose. My encouragement to millennials everywhere today is to simply get outside of fear. Live outside of fear. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. When we exercise these principles, we'll understand that, hey, I can do it. I can do it. And do not wait for someone to validate you. Validate yourself.
Wow.
Look at yourself in the mirror and say, boy, you're doing a good job. Girl, you got it going on. You make it happen. And trust me, you'll begin to realize that the more I encourage myself, the easier this thing is going to get. You
I
have to
think
you
that
if for me, Yeah, for me, I had to really begin to encourage myself, because if you would wait for anyone else to encourage you, oh no, it's not
Wow.
gonna happen.
Kasey, as the protocol guy, you've had to have experienced the need on numerous occasions of covering people from a
Hmm.
confidentiality level. You're exposed
Hmm.
a lot of times, covering a person. They don't realize that something's wrong with their clothes. They don't realize,
Hmm.
something's off, but you realize it. And before they get to the public, your job is to make sure that they're okay. And to some degree,
Hmm.
at different times, I think I've seen you operate at that level. There are a lot of people who would think that's a jokey moment or a joking moment or a
Hmm.
quick picture moment or a video moment to expose somebody who may be of a certain caliber. Whereas your expertise
Hmm.
is not only do am I here to secure you in navigating wherever it is that you're intending to go safely and professionally, but in the event that you're needing my assistance to cover you in the sense of you don't know that this is what happens to you, cover from embarrassment, shame, or just an
Hmm.
unpreparedness. You know what I'm saying? Uh, what's your
Hmm.
view on that? Because there are a lot of people who don't have that level of sensitivity.
So one of the things that's most important as a protocol officer is you have to be aware of everything, everything. It becomes even more intense when you have a principal, someone that you are just assigned to. Everything is taken care of for this person. I'll give you this example, Coach Miller. I covered a cabinet minister of the Bahamas at an event, and they showed up to the event without a flag on. Okay. Now, this is, in my opinion, this is devastating.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Because there is no way you can show up to an event,
yeah,
especially of your caliber, and you do
yeah,
not have some things.
yeah, yeah,
Now, because I'm protocol, I'm always adorned in either the coat of arms or the flag.
yeah,
Now, I took off my coat of arms, and I placed it on the minister's jacket. At the end of the event, they came to me and said, I would have never even remembered that I did not have this on. I said, that's what I'm here for.
yeah,
My job is to take the sweat away from you.
yeah,
Okay? So as long as a protocol officer is present, you shouldn't have to do thinking. All you do is follow my lead. Many times I've had to take away pieces of my clothing to
yeah,
ensure that the person that I'm protocoling is on top of their game. I'll give you another example. I was not working, and I visited this church, and the senior pastor was outside on his birthday
yeah,
taking photos with members, and one of his buttons came off. Okay, now this button is literally hanging, and no one is saying anything. Everyone is going up taking pictures. No one is saying anything about this button. Now, because I know the society that we live in, that can be twist and turned in many different ways. And so I took the chance. I had to coach myself for about 2 seconds and said, "Do you really want to do this, boy? Hey, I know this man like that. You're going up to him anyway." I went. I took the button off and I held it until he was done. When he was done, I pulled him aside. When I took it off, he didn't even realize that I took it off.
yeah,
That's to show you how loose it was. When he was done, I pulled him to the side and I said, "Excuse me, sir, your button was, a bit loose, and I took it off because I didn't want it in your photos." And he said, "Come with me." That one interaction
yeah.
caused me to, still to this day, be called for trainings at his church. And these
That's
aren't just trainings that they give you fruit baskets, Coach Miller,
cool.
because we could get a lot of fruit baskets.
Man, hey, listen, you
These
find me
are
on fruit
handsome.
basket. You find me on. Listen, if somebody give you
Oh,
fruit
no, no, no,
basket, give
no,
me
no,
their
no,
number
no.
because you got to tell them, listen, no, 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 no. Hey,
No, so this is that one interaction birthed something that is to this day still fruitful, and that's been over 4 or 5 years now.
Let's talk about this. The reality of it is you weren't born this way. You acquired the skill by
Hmm.
identifying you had a niche. You had a natural
Hmm.
gifting, but you enhanced it by giving yourself to this and learning all of the necessary requirements to be good at what you do. I'll be honest with this. Not only are you covering people, but you have to deal with people who are outright uh, difficult to deal with. Uh, you've had to acquire tough skin over the years as a protocol specialist. You know, some people ain't hearing it
Hmm.
and they don't care who you are,
No.
and your job is to not put gasoline on the fire, but to figure out how to
Hmm.
bring this thing down to a place where this person don't further disrupt a setting or even bring about a level of embarrassment to themselves based on how they act. Talk to us about the skill
Hmm.
set that you've incorporated to make sure that you don't match energy, that you don't show up and respond back to them the way that they're responding to you.
Coach Miller, I would have to give credit to to someone who is, in my opinion, one of the master negotiators in this country, and that is, of course, my mother. And so I would have, as a child, and even growing up, I would have watched her negotiate some of the most toughest situations. And so that, without her even knowing that she was teaching me how to negotiate, that's actually what she was doing. And so for me, whenever and for me, it is more common than anything else, being placed in that situation where I have to negotiate something with someone who is just outright rude, don't want to listen, just want everything their way. I had to go back and pull out the skills and try to negotiate. Say, hey, listen, I know you want to go to the front. I know you do. But unfortunately, I can't. I cannot do that. But what I'm able to do is put you to the sixth row just on the end so you still have a good view. Or, I'm able to speak something into their language that is applicable to their situation. I can tell you sometimes it is extremely difficult because they ain't hearing you. They don't want to hear you. They want it their way and they want it now. And so sometimes you have to get a little tough. You have to not too tough, because if you get too tough, then they take it another way. And I have to also contribute that to my mentor, Pastor Delton Ellis. I have to. He is a general in the protocol field. He has his roughness with me has helped me to understand that, hey, it's only a part of the job. At the end of the day, I love you, I appreciate you, but it's only to get the job done. And so that translated into how I handle persons from here.
Moving forward, where do you see this going for you as an entrepreneur, a visionary? What would you like to
Mhm.
see happen with Kasey Collie, the protocol guy, in the next 5, 10 years with the services you provide?
One of the things, Coach, that and I'm happy that you even asked. One of the things I'm currently working on is the Protocol Academy. A lot of times persons want to, be known as protocol officer. They want to be known as protocol this. They want to say that I have protocol, I have all these things, but don't really know what protocol is. They don't even know where protocol originated from. And so my dream has always been to create the Protocol Academy. Maybe the Protocol Academy of the Bahamas, understanding that there's a system to what it is that we do. This is just something that we just go off the cuff with. There's a manual for this. I have a book that I would have acquired about 5 years ago. That's the Protocol Bible, and I hold that book near and dear to me, simply because it gives you lessons for your everyday executing. And so this is the one thing, Coach Miller, that I really, really, really want to see come to fruition, and that is the Protocol Academy.
Wow. When when you look at life, the whole concept of effective living, that's what this platform is about. And one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you was because I believe you're living life effectively. I believe you're an example of a person who has totally given themselves to what you believe you was called to do in the earth. What is your definition of effective living from the protocol guy's perspective? You've seen others do well. You have engaged yourself at a higher level of living, when the truth is you could be just like any other 20 plus some year old, just doing what we would call regular activities at this particular age. When you assess what you see in front of you, when you assess where you are, when you look at what's behind you in relations to your age and development up to this point, effective living, describe it from your seat.
Effective living for me, Coach Ricardo, is living without apologies, pursuing life on a level that you don't have to wait to vacation from. Okay? Living effectively, or effective living, is living according to the standards that God has placed on this earth for you. Understanding that He has placed before you an open door and no man can shut it. And so, for me, once I know that I have that backing, it's almost like saying you go to the bank and the bank says, "You listen, go ahead with the project. I am giving you 100% backing." You don't look back on it because you know the bank got the resources to do so. You go ahead, you execute simply because you are comfortable in what it is that they have assured you. So that's it for me. I am comfortable in the assurance that I have from my Savior, that He has set before me an open door at which no man can shut. And He says that before I formed you, I knew you.
Yes.
He knew everything that was there is to know about me, and He set me here. And so I that is my view on effective living, just living according to the standards that God has placed on this earth.
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Kasey T. Collie joining us tonight here on Effective Living. Kasey, if persons watching us wanted to book you, wanted you to do a virtual training for their churches, we got people from around the world at some point may watch this and say, hey, that's a guy I need to have come and talk to my team at my church or my company. There may be an organization that's doing some really national or international stuff that never thought about having a protocol specialist come in and speak or train their team. How can persons follow you and capitalize on the services that you provide?
So I'm on Facebook at the Protocol Guy, also Instagram at the Protocol Guy. My email is theprotocolguy242@gmail.com. You can contact me or connect with me through any of those platforms.
Lastly, Kasey, when it's all said and done, how would you like Kasey? I know you're a young man, but you say, listen, man, I have vision for my life. And when it's all said and done, I would like to be remembered as. Complete that sentence.
I want to be remembered as the young man that made the difference, the young man that allowed God to lead him, and the young man that showed others that God is still able.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I told you guys, here's the deal. Everyone has a place. It is your responsibility to find your place. Failing to find your place is like living like a fish out of water. It's just a matter of time before you become a zombie or dead, a walking dead. But there's a place where you belong, where purpose presides, and now you're like fish in water. It's a beautiful thing to see you. It's a beautiful thing to watch you do what you were born to do. Everybody has it. You got to pursue it. Today, we've took the time to talk to Kasey, who is the protocol guy out of the Bahamas, not only doing things in the Bahamas, but around the world. My goal is for you too to tap into what God's called you to do. Kasey, thank you for joining us here on Effective Living. Like I said before, our goal
Thank you for having me.
Our goal is to bring individuals on who will help challenge us to know if God can do it for him, he can do it for me as well. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, put on the notification bell, and check us out Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. We have different guests from around the world joining us as we help you to understand that there are principles. If you discover and apply them, They can take your life to a whole nother level. Another thing you can capture is, if God can do it for them, he can do it for you as well. Thank you, everyone. Want you guys to have a great evening. Don't forget to put a comment below and like this page. Have a good night, everyone. Once again, thank you, Mr. Kasey Collie.